Guys, I watched Assassin's Creed 2016 a few days ago, and all I could ask myself was, why was this movie made? I mean, they got Michael Fassbender, who is such an amazing actor for this movie, and he's forced to play one of the most boring characters that I've ever seen. Before we jump into the plot, I just want to say that while this movie does look very bland most of the time, it does have some amazing shots in it that I will be pointing out when we get to them. And whoever did the score for this movie was also really cooking. The only real problem that I have with this movie is the writing, but the writing sucks so much ass that it ruins everything. So okay guys, we start the movie off with a Star Wars-like title crawl, which tells us that Assassins and Templars have been at war for centuries, and they are currently fighting over the possession of a mythical apple. Okay, so we are a few seconds in the movie, and I already can say that this is stupid as hell, but just for the sake of the movie, I'm just gonna go along with it. We get a decent shot of a church where the Assassin's Creed welcome a new recruit to their guild. This scene also retells the exact plot points the title crawl did. Like, why is the title crawl even in here then? We learn that the recruit's name is Aguilar and they cut off his finger for some reason. And then we get told that the assassins operate on a code that's outside of morality and law and shouldn't be compromised by emotions. What the fuck? We are introduced to a young version of our main character whose name is genuinely Callum Lynch. The first thing that he does in this movie is attempt a bike trick and fail because he sucks ass. He makes his way home to his mother, getting Assassin's Creeded by his father. He tells his son to run away as multiple vehicles approach the house. He makes his way over the rooftops, which is a nice connection to the assassins later in the movie, and we see Callum's father gets seemingly executed as we get a shot of our main villain. This guy has like a Templar necklace hanging in his car so that everyone knows he's one of them, I guess. We jump 30 years into the future, where we now see a grown-up version of Callum on death row. He gets visited by a pastor who he kindly tells to fuck off. As he gets fucking executed, we get some like nice shots of his life flashing before his eyes. These are like decent. As he seemingly dies, he sees the figure of a woman watching him in the shadows. He wakes up in a white hospital room with the woman from earlier watching him. She introduces herself as Dr. Sophia Ryken and tells him that he is officially pronounced dead. She asks Callum for help and offers her help in return. Callum is an incel and starts crawling away from Dr. Ryken.
Let him go.
And we get some insanely funny shots of him slipping and falling over. He runs through the facility and ends up in a room with crops and a window. He climbs up the edge and contemplates jumping off. A League of Legends player cheers him on as Sophia Ryken arrives and tells him that he's not a prisoner.
You're not a prisoner here, Cal.
And that they need his help to retrieve the Apple of Eden. Callum decides to not jump off, and this is where I'm gonna say that this scene is just absolutely fucking stupid, because later in the movie we are told that every single bloodline except Callum's has died out, and they basically need the descendants of the assassins to get to the Apple of Eden. So if he decided to jump off here, they would have been completely fucked.
Let him go.
Even though Callum is not a prisoner, he gets forcefully dragged into a room with a giant machine in it. The device is called the Animus, and it's used for reliving memories from the user's ancestors. Callum gets plugged in and we get some genuinely cool shots of him like floating in the air. We jump back 500 years where we follow a hawk flying around a battlefield and arrive at a small village. A Templar named Ojeda drags a child who he calls the Prince out of a hiding place. He threatens to kill a woman and asks who's responsible for hiding the child. A man steps forward as hooded figures make their way through the crowd. Ojeda orders his men to hang the man's family, make him watch, and then burn down the entire village. This movie is fucked up. Our assassins start to creed the Templar, and we get a genuinely cool shot of Aguilar jumping down a cliff to like kill a guy. Ojeda and his men put the prince in a metal cage stage and flee as the Templar and assassins fight. Aguilar like awkwardly steals a horse and follows them, and it wouldn't be an Assassin's Creed product without a trailing mission. We get a horse chase action scene, and this is where I'm going to mention that I hate how this movie's action scenes were edited. This scene features way too many cuts, it's insanely disorienting, and it keeps switching back to the horses running. Like, I know that they are fighting on horses, you don't have to switch back to the fucking horses every 5 seconds. The outcome of the fight is that Aguilar and the prince are dangling off a cliff with Ojeda and his men waiting at the top. Michael Fassbender now needs to get pulled out of the machine for some reason. Like, the movie tells us that the animus takes like an immense toll on the user's body, which I genuinely don't understand. We are told that Callum is just reliving a memory that happened.
What you're about to see, hear, and feel are the memories of someone who's been dead for 500 years.
Why is he fucking dying? I mean, he does some athletic feats, but come on, man. Michael Fassbender literally looks like this in this movie. This to me just seems like a way for the writers to force him out of the animus, which is the actual interesting part of the story. Like, I don't even know why they did this in the first place. Aguilar's story, while very stupid at times, can be very engaging. He wants to retrieve the Apple of Eden and keep it out of like the evil Templar's hands. Callum's motivations are surviving, I guess. Like, instead of telling the story of someone reliving interesting stuff, why not tell the story of someone who is doing interesting stuff? Whatever, this is the story. Let's just continue. We now get a scene between Sophia and her father Alan Riken, who is the Templar from the beginning. Alan orders his daughter to push Callum, which she protests.
Push him.
That's not how the animus works.
He lists some important events from the past and adds 2016, my daughter finds the cure for violence. Later in the movie, we learn that this is not his goal. So the only reason for him to be saying this would be to manipulate his daughter because he thinks that she wouldn't go along with his plans. Alan now reports to the elders and they tell him that they will no longer fund his project. Their reasoning for this is people no longer care about freedom.
The modern world has outgrown notions like freedom. They're content to follow.
Okay, some very deep commentary from the fucking Assassin's Creed movie. We cut back to Callum, where we learn that he's a direct descendant to Aguilar and the only bloodline which hasn't died out, meaning that the Rikens would be absolutely fucked if he jumped off the building.
Let him go.
Callum wakes up in a cell with nothing in it and multiple guards are keeping an eye on him.
You're not a prisoner here, Cal.
Callum now gets visions of Aguilar and starts to fight the ghost version of him. Sophia enters his cell and he grabs her by the neck and threatens her. He asks her what kind of prison this is.
What kind of prison is this?
It's not a prison, Cal.
Like, are you fucking kidding me? You're holding him in a cell that looks like this. Callum asks for food and they walk for a bit. They enter a laboratory of some sorts where we see some deep research about Callum's heritage. Sophia says this to Callum.
You're living proof of the link between heredity and crime.
And like, okay, we get an actually decent character interaction between Callum and Sophia.
Get out much?
More than you.
Dr. Riken tells Callum that her mother got killed by an assassin, just like his. She asks him how he feels, and he tells her that he feels like killing his father. To this, Dr. Riken says,
Either we let it affect us for the rest of our lives, or we do something about it. You turn to violence, I turn to science.
Okay, let me get this straight. In this universe, there is a genetic link between heritage and violence.
All born with a predisposition to violence.
But when you
Do something about it.
you can escape this fate. So what in the actual fuck is going on now? Because if they can choose, then what in the actual fuck are we even doing here? All of this just seems like the movie is trying to sound deep, but it actually says absolutely nothing but fucking bullshit. Okay, fuck it. Sophia tells Callum that she thinks that the magical apple of Eden exists. Whatever, I'll just go along with it. She says that the apple is a roadmap to understand why people are violent island, and we also learn that Aguilar is the last person to have the apple, which is of course insanely convenient since he's the only bloodline that hasn't died out yet. And now we get to, I think, the dumbest scene in the entire movie. A scene that comes close to this is the ending, but this is truly fucking dog shit. Okay, so Callum enters a common room where other assassins stare at him. We are introduced to Musa, who genuinely has like 2 lines in this movie.
They call me Musa, but my name is Baptiste.
He asks Callum if he met him yet, and tells him that if he makes the wrong choice, he will doom them all.
Make the wrong choice, you're gonna send us all to infinity.
A guy comes up to him and hands him an apple, and then a different guy comes up to him and takes the apple away from him. This guy tells Callum that he's leading them straight to the apple. And yeah, buddy, he knows this. Like, Sophia and her men offered him a new life if he retrieves the apple.
I get my life back.
Better. A new one.
Which he has no reason to trust because he's in an actual prison, but this is still like the best choice because they could like fucking kill him at all times. And so far, Callum is not aware that Sophia and her team are Templar. So instead of explaining to Callum what in the actual fuck is going on, they yap some absolute bullshit and try to sound mysterious for no reason.
This belongs to you.
And then they hand him an apple and take it away from him. What in the actual fuck? And the cherry on top of this fucking dogshit scene is this line from Callum.
What the fuck is going on?
I don't know, man. Like, you're asking the wrong guy. So now Alan forces his daughter to send Callum back into the Animus. She protests and says that she won't risk his life. Michael Passenger now loses his marbles completely and starts fighting with the ghost Aguilar again. Guards storm the room. He beats the shit out of a few of them, and then he gets dragged into the Animus while singing.
I'm crazy, crazy for feeling so lonely.
Like, you got Michael Fassbender and this is the script you hand him.
And I'm crazy for loving you.
So Aguilar and his female companion, who I will be calling Wifey from now, are being held in a cell waiting for their execution. They repeat the Assassin's Creed code and it's clear that they have feelings for each other. They enter an arena full of watchers as they are being chained to a stake where they wait to get burned alive. This movie is fucked up, man. And like, the editing in this movie is so fucking dogshit, so I don't even know what is happening in the scene. The executioner puts down a knife between Aguilar's feet, and then they proceed to burn Aguilar's mentor in front of him. Why don't they burn everyone at once? Because they want to give Aguilar and Wifey a chance to fucking escape. So Aguilar uses something, which I think is the knife, to free himself from his chains, which would be insanely stupid because why would you give him the knife to fucking free himself? But it also doesn't look like the knife, so I don't even know what's going on. He just frees himself, I guess. A huge fight breaks out and Aguilar and Wifey fight through the Templar, and this is actually followed by a scene that I really like. Like, what's going on in this scene is that Aguilar and Wifey are like running away over the rooftops and the guards are chasing them, and the guards, like in the scene, constantly fall off because they're trying to follow the assassins, and I really like that because you can just like see that they are trained and the guards are not. Then this insanely funny thing happens where Aguilar bounces a fucking arrow off of a wall to fucking headshot a guy. The chase leads them to like a big ass construction site, which they climb up. When reaching the top, we get this dumbass fucking scene. Like, first, Wifey jumps off of the building, and I can accept this. But while she jumps off, Ojeda takes a shot at Aguilar. He misses, and then Aguilar calmly prepares for the jump, even though there are like 15 men next to Ojeda, and I guess not a single one of them has a fucking crossbow. And even if they don't, why the fuck would Aguilar just risk getting shot in the fucking back? Oh guys, I forgot, because he wants to look cool for the fucking movie. Anyways, Aguilar jumps off of the fucking building and we cut to Callum having a seizure and needing medical treatment. I mean, I would have really liked to see how Aguilar survived that jump, but you know, I guess Callum's body couldn't take it. He takes a relaxing bath and sees more visions decisions of Aguilar. And now we get an absolutely brain-numbing info dump from Dr. Riken. She basically tells Callum that these seizures wouldn't happen if he went into the Animus on his own free will.
I'm gonna die in here, aren't I?
No, not if you go in there of your own free will.
Like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, maybe, just maybe, you should work on your fucking strategy then, you dumb piece of shit. So far, they locked him in a cell with nothing to do and forced him into doing something that could fucking kill him. And maybe you could consider telling him that fucking earlier, because you sent him into this fucking death machine twice without him knowing that he doesn't die when he goes in there on his own free will. You are fucking stupid. And now, having learned this, Callum says,
I can't do this.
like, brother, are you fucking kidding me? These people promised you a new life and a way to counteract the risk of fucking dying. Even if he doesn't trust them, which he shouldn't, going in there on his own free will is the best thing he can do. Like, everyone is so fucking stupid here, dude. What is happening? Sophia hands Callum his mother's necklace, which she stole. Callum confronts her and she tells him that her father was there on that day
To save her.
From her?
Her own people.
This is a straight up lie and she knows this. She's manipulating Callum right now. She also states that she wants the war between Assassins and Templar to stop.
Assassins and Templars have been at war for centuries. I aim to change that.
And please remember both of the things that she says here because they will be important. This movie is a masterpiece. Now Alan meets Callum for the first time. He apologizes for any discomfort Callum's experiencing while locking him in a cell and keeping him prisoner.
I'm sorry if we've caused you any discomfort.
I'm crazy.
It's okay.
I'm sorry if we've caused you any discomfort.
They leave his cell and we cut to Musa, who asks Dr. Riken if they will be freed since they did everything they asked. She fucking donawalls him. And here we actually get a decent setup for later, where we are shown like Musa eyeing the smoke grenades. Alan leads Callum into a room with Rust players. We learn that this happens to people that don't go into the Animus on their own free will. He hands Callum the knife his father used to murder his mother and tells him that his father is also in the room. And now Dr. Riken confronts her father about his methods.
He has to go in of his own free will. You said that. I had to negotiate.
You mean manipulate? My father recovered it from the scene of your mother's murder and brought it here for safekeeping. To save her.
From her?
Her own people.
Like, she literally just lied to him 5 minutes ago. Did you, like, forget? Callum's father tells him that he took his mother's life to save the Creed and keep her away from the Animus. He adds that he should have killed Cal too, but couldn't bring himself to do it. And he's like the first person to kind of tell Cal what's going on. He explains to him that they want the apple, which contains genetic code, to take away free will, and that they will use it to destroy the Creed. In an actual nice character moment for Callum, he chooses to not kill his father and walks away. And I actually like this because this is the first actual decision Callum made in the story that means anything. And now the other prisoners try to assassinate Callum. Like, what in the actual fuck? Just note that they would rather fucking kill him than explain the situation to him.
This belongs to you.
And now Cal willingly enters the Animus. And, you know, here he actually starts to make decisions for his character. It's just a shame that it's like fucking 80% into the movie. We jump back to Aguilar and Wifey on top of a tower. And like, what the fuck? The last time we saw them, they got chased by a fucking army that wanted them dead. And they were in the process of flying down a fucking building. Fuck it. The prince is now being returned to his father in exchange for the apple. And I really like the shots of the priest holding the apple. As I said, this movie has some really cool shots in it. But they immediately fuck it up, of course, with this stupid ass action scene. Aguilar and Wifey flood the temple with smoke, and we get a genuinely cool shot of Wifey taking out these two guys. They take out all of the guards, and the outcome of the fight is that both Ojeda and Aguilar end up in a standoff. Since Aguilar likes Wifey, he puts away his blade, and Ojeda uses this to stab fucking Wifey. Rest in peace. Aguilar loses his shit and wants to kill Ojeda, of course. This fight is pretty boring, but the outcome is that Ojeda beat fucking Aguilar's ass. Oh man, it's looking bleak for Aguilar, but thankfully Ojeda picks up this sword in the slowest way possible while Aguilar mourns Wifey. Like, it's so fucking stupid. They always give Aguilar like the most unbelievable way out of the situation. It's truly amazing writing. You know, so Ojeda fucking throws and Aguilar takes his Wifey's hand bolt and shoots Ojeda in the chest. Aguilar, of course, doesn't waste any time and completely fucking annihilates Ojeda. Rest in peace, bro, you were a fucking dogshit villain. And if you thought that this scene was fucking brain dead, it's about to get worse. The fucking priest guy lets in the guards and Aguilar drops into the sewers. He fights a few guards and ends up on a bridge getting swarmed by countless guards that have crossbows. And it really doesn't take a genius to figure out what Aguilar will do next. Instead of shooting Aguilar and retrieving the apple, the priest asks Aguilar calmly to just hand it to him. It's lucky that the priest read the script, you know, and Aguilar just jumps off the bridge, you know. Yeah, no way, guys. No way he did that. How does he do this? I mean, he falls off, and I genuinely really like this shot of him, like, falling off. The shots are amazing. It's the script, dude. You might be thinking, but now he's dead, right? Because that's what I thought was happening when I first watched this movie. I thought the apple just, like, sunk to the ground, and they had to, like, dig it up or something. But, of course, Aguilar is still alive, and now get ready for this. He meets with someone that is revealed to be Christopher fucking Columbus. What the fuck? Okay, so Aguilar hands Christopher Columbus the fucking apple and tells him that he should take it to his grave. Meanwhile, Musa and the other assassins use the smoke grenades from earlier as a tool to take out the guards. They fight their way through the facility and make their way to Callum. Alan Riken now orders his men to
Purge the facility.
Cal's father dies as Callum gets visions of his dead mother that tells him that he's not alone and recruits him as an assassin.
For other men are limited by their morality or law. Remember,
Everything is permitted.
What the fuck? He teams up with the other assassins that tried to kill him a few hours ago. The assassins arm themselves with weapons that they just kept in the Animus room, I guess. And you know, this is obviously followed by a dogshit fucking action scene again. But it opens up with the guards storming the room and they look like fucking zombies. I genuinely find this extremely hilarious. After taking care of the guards, Callum climbs up the Animus and just watches the Rikens fly away in their helicopter. We follow the Rikens as they rob Christopher Columbus's grave. So Alan Riken uncovers the Apple of Eden, and now get this, he just keeps it in his pocket for later use. Like, just imagine Thanos collecting like the Infinity Stones and just keeping it in his fucking pocket. This guy has like the strongest weapon in their universe and he just waits to use it. I mean, I guess he read the script, so I can't blame him. The climax of this movie takes place at the Templar meetup, where we are shown hooded figures entering the building. These are our assassins, of course, and like, how the fuck did they get here? Just remember that all of them are pronounced dead. They have absolutely no identification, no money, and they also somehow know where the Rikens are. Like, how the fuck did they get here? You know, but fuck it, they arm themselves and get ready for battle. The Rikens get a scene where Sophia confronts her father about wanting to eradicate free will.
If we eradicate free will, we eradicate the assassins.
and she is surprised by this. And I just have to ask, what did you think he would do with the apple? I mean, they talk about getting rid of violence, but they are keeping innocent people prisoner and use them for unethical experiments against their will. Like you are part of the problem, you fucking idiots. Alan tells his daughter that he always knew that she was a scientist first and Templar second. And like you are aware that the Templar and Assassins are at war. So are you fucking stupid? Okay, but just forget it, okay? Just note that Sophia is not okay with this.
You lied to me. Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds.
And finds it unethical and wrong. And this is where I'm gonna mention that in my opinion, Sophia Ryken is the only decently characterized character in this movie. Like, she does some stupid shit like everyone else, but with her, she actually has like a consistent motive. But don't worry guys, they fuck this up in the next 10 minutes. The Templar meeting begins and they welcome Alan on stage. Meanwhile, Sophia stands in the hallway and gets approached by Callum. She tells him that if she shouts, he would be fucked. Which is correct.
All I have to do is shout.
But she doesn't do it since she's been characterized as someone who doesn't agree with her father's plans, which makes sense. Now it all goes downhill. Callum asks her about her plans to cure violence.
What about all those great plans? Cure violence.
That's not going to happen.
And like, what in the actual fuck are you on about? The apple is literally next to you. It is in the other room. If you just took it, you could do exactly what you were planning to do. Cal says that she started this and can't just walk away, and adds that not everything deserves to live. Callum walks past her, deciding not to kill her, which I again like, because he's been characterized as someone who only kills people who deserve it. Alan holds up the apple and says that he will purge the Assassin's Creed. Callum slowly walks up to him and assassinates him. And I really like the shots. Whoever directed this movie deserves credit. Like, this shot is really cool, but again, it doesn't make any sense. Like, do you want me to believe that there were absolutely no guards or any security protocol? They're just gonna let anyone who wants walk up to him and kill him, you know, I guess. The assassins disappear and I don't really get why they came, because Callum is the only one who did anything. Sophia walks up to her father and he has this little apple in his hand, and I find this so fucking funny because this implies that Callum killed Alan and then carefully placed this fucking apple in his hand after killing him. And now Sophia swears revenge on Callum and says that she will retrieve the artifact for the elders.
I will retrieve the artifact for the elders. Now I am become death.
Which I want for me. Assassins and Templars have been at war for centuries. I aim to change that.
And this comes out of absolutely nowhere. Like, as I said before, she's been characterized as someone who doesn't really agree with the Templars' methods.
You mean manipulate?
So why the fuck would she do this? Like, the movie just wants us to believe that she completely switched sides because her father died. But you also have to build up the connection between the two, and they do not have a great relationship.
You lied to me.
And in my opinion, the Sophia that we saw for the entire movie would rather be an assassin than a Templar. But fuck it. For the last scene of this movie, we zoom out of a city and get a shot of Callum and two other assassins where he shows off the apple and gets ready to jump off the building. Like, are you fucking kidding me? And to me, this ending seems like it was a setup for a sequel, which I find to be so fucking funny, because this movie is really, really bad. 4 out of 10, Garbanzo.